Welcome to Poetry with Shing, where we uncover the beauty behind poetry. In today's episode, we'll be doing a comparison of Home of My Youth by William B. Tappan and After Youth by Evelyn Scott. So the two poems are on the screen now, and we'll be answering the question: consider in detail ways in which language, style, and form contribute to the poet's portrayal of youth. So, without further ado, let's begin. Home of My Youth by William B. Tappan adopts a bittersweet tone to present youth as a pleasurable period of one's life, contributing to wistful reminiscence that will comfort one. On the other hand, After Youth by Evelyn Scott employs a mournful tone in lamenting about the transience of youth that makes memories of youth painful to recall. So, Home of My Youth is a pleasurable period of one's life. There's also lots of wistful memories, whereas the poem by Evelyn Scott employs a mournful tone, lamenting about the transience of youth. Both poets use imagery of nature, but with differing purposes. In poem A, there is a sense of familiarity in the description of nature, as the poet creates the image of the place of his birth. So there's a sense of familiarity, and we can find it where? Near the green lane, the old elm now, the village spire, the grassy lawn. This part employs imagery and it's familiar. Why is it familiar? It's because it is that of his childhood. This implies a feeling of age with the word choice of old, as if time had passed since the speaker encountered the image. The poet is thus conveying that with growth and maturity comes a new perspective of youth. So, and elements that belong to one's youth, in this case the place where the speaker was born. This new perspective is retrospective, as it mirrors the universality of memory and how everyone, at one point or another, will look back on their youth with new insights. So there's an idea of retrospection. And when you age and you look back on something, you glean greater and deeper insights. Thus, poet A is suggesting that youth does not stop when one comes of age, and instead becomes an integral part of one's life even in adulthood, through the permeability of youth and the fact that it is greatly intertwined with our current life. So this part of the imagery shows the permeability of youth into adult life. Furthermore, the poet evokes feelings of peace and serenity through fancy chilled her thornless flowers. Fancy culled her thornless flowers. And pleasure reigned unknown to care. Through the word choice of reigned, it suggests that positive feelings were experienced throughout youth, with it being a relatively peaceful experience. So there's a lot of peace and serenity evoked through this natural imagery. As such, the poet is presenting youth as innocent and simplistic. Also because you can see the use of thornless flowers, so we might think that it's innocent and simplistic. As such, the poet is presenting youth as innocent and simplistic without the contamination of unpleasantries. Innocence in youth is further shown through the word choice of thornless, symbolizing how youth is a protective layer that protects one from all possible harm. So it's protective. Thus, youth is a blissful experience, where one is innocent in not knowing the harshness of the real world, being gullibly protected by others. On the other hand, poem B uses images of nature to paint a retrospective image of youth. The poem employs the imagery in exotic colors in the lamp-lit darkness of wet streets. What's that? Over here. Musk and roses in the twilight, the moon in the park like a golden balloon. The word choice of exotic, let me change the color of the pen. The word choice of exotic hints at the speaker's incredulity of the imaginings of children in their youth. So incredulity. The poet is thus establishing that youths are unsuspecting of dangers. Represented by the wet street, so this could symbolize dangers, as it is probably slippery and instead choose to look on the bright side with a uniquely positive outlook on life, as they are able to see beauty even in the bleakness of their surroundings. So, yet as they enjoy and indulge in their vivid imagination, youths are grounded, as musk is an earthy smell. So youths are grounded, despite their lofty imaginings. And musk connotes the grounded feelings of the youth as reminded by nature around them, and they try at navigating their way through the complexities in life as their youth draws to a close, as connoted by twilight, with a hopeful, positivity radiating youth draws to a close as the sun sets. Thus, the poet is saying that while youths indulge in vivid imaginings, in everyone's memory, the enlightened retrospective perspective gifted with experience after youth reminds them of the fleeting beauty of youth. Alright, that is it for today's episode. It's rather short. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you and see you at our next episode. Goodbye.